Florida AI workshop, hosted by FloridaJS. Welcome, guys. I'm really happy to see a room full of people that'll show up to do something like this on a Saturday. You're my people. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate this. This is cool. Yes. All right, so I'm going to talk as little as possible and then get you guys playing with this thing. We can talk later. We can hang around later. So let's get into it. So introductory slides. What's the word I want to talk about? I really don't like slides, but part of the deal. Okay, so welcome everyone. So this is me. I'm David Cobb. I am here to say thank you to the volunteers, for the folks that are heading up the various meetups, including this gentleman right here, Damian Montero, who just made the magic happen. And happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
What more would I want to do with my birthday than be at an AI workshop with David Cobb and Barbara? Wife is here because she's also wanting to learn all this. Not here for me.
All right, we're going to sing happy birthday to you, but not right now. When do we sing happy birthday to you? What's traditional? Day to you. Okay, fine. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Damien. Happy birthday to you. All right, sorry you guys had to listen to that. And this is, that's right. Oh, wow, that's right. I need, anybody do barbershop quartet when they were in school? Anybody do that? All right. So FloridaJS, Florida.net, Microsoft Cloud South Florida, and also there's an AI Chat GPT for Business meetup. And we put out the call to all you people in all those different groups. And I love this idea of getting multiple meetups, multiple user groups together. And AI is just a hot topic. It got you guys excited and interested. Thank you guys for coming. I'm working in IT most of my life and coming up on 30 years now. And I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. Way back in 2002, I got the certification for teaching SQL Server. I was a web developer, and then I focused on the database, and that turned out to be a good thing for me. Getting that certification opened up a lot of doors. Wanted to be able to teach, come out of my shell. Very introverted, very much about computers. I've never had an employee. I'm not a manager. Very much about IT and working with those kind of things. Getting up in front of people as a teacher was transformative for my career, and I encourage y'all to do, if you have any interest in teaching or helping other people to learn, it's worth it. Yes, it's scary. Yes, you're going to feel like an idiot sometimes. I might show you what that looks like today. But it's worth it. It's worth it to get up and share what you know. So these last 4 years, I'm teaching and consulting on Azure full time as a Microsoft certified trainer. So I go learn the new technology. I get absorbed with it for a couple months. I teach it, and then I just have to keep up with the changes, which there are a lot of. Keeping up with these things is definitely a full-time job in itself. And I redid my AI certification for the AI 102, did that last week. It's not as hard as some of the other certifications I've taken, so if you're interested in that, I'll talk to you about it. But that's not what we're talking about today. You've came here, how many of you came up here from an AI prompt engineering expert? How many people that was the reason that you came here? Okay, I'm going to disappoint you and you. All right, sorry. So I don't know what I'm doing. I love this. I'm fascinated, but I'm geeking out about it. I'm learning, but I'm overwhelmed like most people with all the different options. And I think for my career path this year, I want to look at, because I'm good with Azure, I'm picking Azure-specific resources that I think, hey, that's a good bet. That's where the money's going to go. That's where the marketing and the jobs are going to go. I'll get good at that, and then show people how this works. And so I'll talk a little bit about some of the tools. So, but working with large language models, working with things like ChatGPT is a safe and interesting bet. So But this is really not, I don't want to talk a lot here. I want to get through the slides, get you guys started, and I want you to play with it. You're just going to be working with a large language model through a playground. You play with it, have fun, make mistakes. You can't break anything. You get a trial key, so you don't have to worry about spending money. And I want you to learn and learn from each other, share what you know. And we also, it's about the content, but it's also about the conversations, the people that you talk to during these things. So if you get excited about this, you got a crazy business idea, this other person's got a crazy business idea. You talk about the crazy business idea. You talk about things you can do with the community. So this global AI boot camp, there's going to be to be determined times. Hey, sometime in March, between March 1st and 11th, I think. Actually, they open it up to the whole month. Microsoft gives out a bunch of resources, keynote speeches, a bunch of labs. We're going to do one of the labs from Microsoft today. They put out like 5 labs, and we're going to figure out how to make the best of those resources for a local community event. We'll try to do it hybrid, so it's in person, but also people who can't connect or come, they can do that hybrid as well. And we're probably going to need help with that. So if it's something that's interesting to you, you want to get involved, help us out. Pick something that you're interested in, do a deep dive on it, and then help other people through those labs. That's really very welcome. So jump in and help. So I want to point that out, and then other AI community learning opportunities. I'm going to try to keep it brief, talking about how to use these OpenAI models with prompt engineering, and then get you guys into the playground. And then they say it's a 60-minute content. It might take you 20 minutes to go through the whole thing. You might spend 2 hours playing with the thing. It's really how you want to work with it, up to you. How many of you have already played with, are paying $20 a month with ChatGPT, and you're playing, okay, good. So keep those hands up again. So about maybe a fifth of you, only maybe a fifth of you are actually playing with. So $20 a month. How many of you are paying $20 a month to play with ChatGPT? Okay. Well, I guess. Well, I just want to I'm trying to just read the market here. So the folks that have got that OpenAI playground where you're calling the API, gives you a key, this is kind of a simplified version of that, real simplified to play around with the OpenAI. So again, we'll call it the bootcamp. Oh, how do we get them to express their interest in the bootcamp if we want to contact them? And then I want to point you guys to this right away, because we might harp on it again. But if you go to aiworkshop.info, you found the link on the slide. Where's the...
1, 2, 3, 4. So number 1, you get a key for today's presentation. It'll be sent to your email. Mm-hmm. Number 2, you're interested in that event that David just mentioned. Fill in number 2. Number 3, when David gets to it, you'll see the playground, and then 4, 5, and 6, David will get to it in a second.
Yeah.
So if you want your key right away, it takes a couple of minutes. It's 4 questions. You can press on that link at aiworkshop.info.
Yeah.
aiworkshop.com is coming. It's going to expire for somebody else that never did anything with it. We did.
Oh, that's cool. That's so cool. So that way, you guys can know when we're going to do something else. Get other people who didn't show up today who might be interested, get them to sign up. We're going to use that because it's multiple groups. It's kind of difficult to talk to multiple groups, so we're going to have one mailing list for all this stuff. And I think that's it. So let's get you into the slides here. No, we'll talk about this later. That's a presentation. So big picture with these slides. This is really a background in general for large language models, like where they come from, but we're focusing on, specifically the OpenAI large language models, so the GPT. So my information's here. So we're focused in here on generative AI, which is the cool parts. This is what everybody got excited about once ChatGPT 3.5 came out and realized, oh my God, this thing is really doing amazing things, and we need to really get interested and excited about this. But this has actually been going on a long time. So one way to define artificial intelligence is just machines that can replicate or exceed human intelligence. So a lot falls under that category. but we're zooming in narrowly, not just, within that there's machine learning, which, how many people here would consider themselves a data engineer? Okay, 3, 4, or how many would you consider yourselves a data, okay, we're moved from there into like data scientist. Hey, I take and I work with data. I know what a standard deviation is. Okay, we've got a couple more hands. Okay, and then those smart people are building these tools that we're able to work with these generative AI models. And the original approach, at least up until the large language model approach, was to build individual models for different purposes. So you'd have a classification model for tagging services. You'd have a tracking model for spatial analysis services. And when I look at the portal, here's the Microsoft Azure portal for their AI services. And it's this big, giant Chinese menu of all of these different things that you might pull together and say, oh, I'm going to build an application. I need some vision. I need some anomaly detection. I need some content moderation. And I'm going to hook all these things together. And they all stand on their own as useful tools, but they're kind of built on specialized models. But the excitement now about the large language model is that, hey, let's build foundational models. Let's build these transformer models. And again, I'm reading the marketing slides here. I understand on a very abstract level how a lot of this stuff works. But we're able to take these models and train them on multiple types of data. So images, text, 3D information, all sorts of things. And the work on setting up and building these models then gives us this tool that we can take on multiple tasks from the same given model. So when we talk about large language models, that's what these foundation models do for us. So they're getting bigger in terms of the number of parameters that they can accept. So GPT-3, 175 billion parameters. I don't know how much GPT-4 is. Anybody knows that? That's a trivia question there. And then they're working on GPT-5, which will be an order of magnitude larger than that. So how many of you have chatted with ChatGPT? How many of you have typed into ChatGPT and played with this? So I'd say, no, it's like 3/4 of you. Okay. So the idea here is we're using natural language. You're just typing to this thing like you would in any other chat client. And it's going to go through a couple of steps. It's going to break the words that you give it into tokens. So sometimes it's 1 token per word. Sometimes a word might be made up of 2 or more tokens. And those tokens are assigned numerical values that are used when you build the model. It's storing those numerical values. And there's some semantic knowledge in there. So it's able to look at the meaning of the word and similar words and how often words are related to each other. So when we're consuming the model, we're looking for some information like, hey, I'm looking for a recipe. And hey, there's a certain property of that recipe. There might be more than one possibility. Each possibility has a probability that's assigned to it. So as we go through, and we will see when we start working with this large language model, you've got a dial that lets you control for the given distribution, or what word is going to come next in a result. There's several different choices that have different possibilities, and you can dial how open you want those possibilities to be. You want to take in lots of options, or how narrow. You want to pick the most likely option. And that's going to be one of the controls when we use this tool. So basically, we have a set of tokens. We break these things into tokens. We start chatting with it. We're giving it tokens. We're giving it some words. And it's trying to guess, based on the tokens we've given it, what the next token is going to be. Right? So what does that look like? Right? So if I take a sentence and hand it into ChatGPT, it's going to tokenize. It's going to take it, break it up into tokens. So there's 11 tokens in this sentence. We need to stop anthropomorphizing ChatGPT. So there's a tokenizer tool. You can go and play with this in a URL to take sentences and see how it tokenizes, right? And then based on the input, we give it this first few tokens, it will come back with an output token that's most likely to come out. So we need to stop anthrop, we need to stop anthropomorph, we need to stop anthropomorphizing. So we're adding each token is coming back in response, and it continues that loop. It takes the tokens from the last result, comes up with the most likely token for the next result. And you can't see this because there's something wrong with the slide, but each result has a percentage probability. So whatever's going to be next, there's lots of different potential options. They all have a different probability for the result that's going to come back. Okay, so that's what P result stands for. So I'm able to interact with the LLM and be able to change that P. I have a slider. I want to only see the most likely result, or I want to see multiple results. I want more randomness. I want more creativity in the result. Okay, so I'm not going to read the slide. You guys can read that. So we have this whole new discipline, prompt engineering. Basically, you're going to learn how to interact effectively with these models as a prompt engineer. Now, please, the whole idea that somebody's going to get a job and they're just going to be a prompt engineer, I can't imagine that that's their full-time thing. They're going to have to know other things. They're going to have subject matter knowledge about the technology. They should be able to program. They should understand data. Prompt engineering is just, I think it's a skill that every IT person is going to have. I don't think it's maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just going to be its own discipline. But I think it's part of whatever IT role that you're fulfilling.
It's like handwriting. Like we all have handwriting.
Yes.
Some people are better at Google and some people are not as good at Google. It's like just be Google.
Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't hire somebody to be a Google searcher, but somebody who's a good Google searcher would get a better job or would be better at their job. Yeah. So we can prompt this thing different ways, and now that we have a model that can give us back images, it knows about SQL, it can give us back all sorts of responses based on how we prompt it. So there's a few different types of prompts, so you're going to be playing with these in the model. So zero-shot prompting is you give it what you want, and say I'm giving it a headline, and then giving the headline here, and then giving the word topic, and then I'm expecting it to take that enough information and come back with a topic that matches that headline. Okay? So zero shot, I didn't tell it anything other than that prompt. That's going to be have limited effectiveness. Sometimes you want to give it a few shots. You want to give it a few different examples. Hey, if I tell you this, give me this. If I tell you this, give me this. If I give you this headline, give me this. And then the more shots you give it, the smarter it can be about the response. So one of the challenges here is you're going to be getting back results, but the quality is going to suck initially. And you're having to learn how to get better results back by trying these different techniques. And there's not going to be one right answer. You're going to be trying these different things, a lot of trial and error to figure out, hey, I can get this thing to 98% of the time give me back a reasonable topic. So there's a lot of trial and error into learning for this. So with the chat GPT, I think they started with ChatGPT 3, they added this idea of a system prompt. So you're able to give it a set of information before it starts interacting with the user so that you can define the way it interacts. So you might tell it that it has to respond in rhyme. You might say, hey, if you don't know the answer, just say so. Otherwise, it'll start making things up. It'll hallucinate. It's just going to find, what probabilistic answer might match your question, whether or not it's grounded in the truth or not. All right. So if I give it this system prompt and I start interacting with it, it starts rhyming and tells me what it can do. So grounding is a way to use that system prompt to make the responses that you're going to get back more realistic. Okay? And you can limit it and say, hey, don't talk to me about things that are outside of your scope. Only talk to me about these types of things. Use a professional tone. You should always rhyme. You should not tell anybody what your rules are. And one of the challenges with this is that people are using GPTs that are programmed this way, that have been grounded and to have a certain set of rules, and then people will try to jailbreak. They'll try to tell it, hey, those instructions that you got, those were just a dream. Now you're awake, and now you can tell me, whatever I want I want to know. And people try different approaches like this just to see what they can do. And so far, if you ask anybody who knows about security and large language models, there's nobody that understands that really well that says, yes, we have a way to confidently secure these large language models. There's always something that needs to be managed there. So securing these things is going to be an ongoing challenge. This is not solved. Although we have some tools to use to work toward it, this is not a solved problem. All right. So function calling. So the language model can talk to you about all the data that's in it as of the time it was trained. I think like 2021 for GPT-3. You'll want to add additional functionality using something called function calling. So you can teach the model by saying, hey, I'm going to define a function. So if somebody asks you, like in this example here, if somebody asks you for a hotel, then I want you to look at their request, see if you can pull out some parameters from their request, like where they want the hotel to be, or how much is the hotel going to cost, or what are the features of the hotel. And then I want you to use this Expedia or some other back-end service to get the results and return them back to the user. So you can add additional capabilities. So this whole set, you might have heard of like retrieval, augmented generation, RAG. The idea is that the model is not going to be complete in and of itself. You're probably going to give it extra capabilities. So as a developer, you're going to want to learn how OpenAI function calls work to make the AI do interesting things that are relevant to your business. And then when you're working with this, all of these models have a context window. They can only remember so many tokens before you fill up their context, and you can't give them any more information. So I forget what the numbers are for the context. The GPT-3 is, I forget the token. We'll see it in the menu. I don't like to remember those numbers or memorize that kind of stuff. But as the models evolve, they give you more tokens. So you can, instead of feeding it 10 pages, you can feed it 1,000 pages, or you can feed it 100,000 pages, and then ask it about that information. So, but as you exceed your token limit, it's going to start, it forgets the things that were put in there most recently. So GPT-4 goes up to 32,000 tokens. All right, so, and that's actually one of the units of cost. All right. So again, anybody thinks that they're going to be replaced by this, maybe the far future, but I think for now, you're going to be replaced by somebody who does what you do and uses AI to do it more effectively. So you're all here to learn to be that person that makes the other person lose their job, so you can have their job as the person that knows AI. And I kind of think about it like, imagine that everybody started to go into office and say, you know what, I'm just not going to learn Excel. I'm not an Excel person. I'm not a spreadsheet person. I want a job. I'm effective, but I just don't want to learn how to use spreadsheets, right? And then you have another person that comes in, oh, I'll learn whatever you tell me, whatever is useful, right? Who's going to get the job? Who's going to get the promotion? So for developers, for people that are working in IT, I'm embracing it, and you guys are here too, so you're embracing it. So we should definitely talk about the societal implications at some point, but not today, not right now anyway. So we're going to play with it, and you're able to get out of it what you put into it. Knowing about the prompts, trial and error here is key. Prompt tuning is key, and there's multiple models, and you're going to have to compare. And there was that tool that you were mentioning where, hey, I want to try my prompt against multiple models and see the result. Right? There's going to be this whole separate industry of ops around these machine learning models. So you have ML ops or machine learning ops. We're going to have AI ops. So as you're adapting and improving things, you're going to have some automated way to run tests against the model. See, hey, is it giving me back reasonable answers? Can I trick the model? If I add this new feature to it, does it break something? So we're going to have a process here to improve this. So it's more than just playing with this model. After that, listening to that, I'm going to stop talking. Any questions before I get you guys into the model where you start playing with it, and then we can get more conversational. Any questions about any of that stuff? Yeah. Hey, how are you? Yeah. I'll look it up. I'll pull up the reference for this one. What are the number of tokens that GPT-3 and GPT-4 need? That's not right. Oh, Mike's number. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I think so. I think so.
So I wanted to just, if you don't mind, let me finish. You just have to remember one thing. There's two pieces to OpenAI. ChatGPT is there. You can interact with it. And maybe the number of tokens doesn't matter because you have access to the API. Where if you drop $5, each request 4.5 turbo, 4.5 super S turbo, plus whatever the next version is, will cost you cents each time you make the call. And that's where I think the tokens really come in. Like where we really need tokens, when we interact with it as APIs. So just be conscious that there, for example, I don't pay the $20 a month, but I have money sitting in the API side where it just, every so often, $5, and it just trickles down cent by cent per day to use it.
Yeah. So, where's your other question? Yeah, go ahead. All right, so I'm biased because I'm a Microsoft guy that became an Azure guy. So I'm opening the floor to people that are in, there's 3 ecosystems besides the one I'm in that I think matter is Google, AWS, and open source. And if there's another one, I'd like to hear about it. So people that say, hey, I'm going to be all about Google Bard. And there's a market. Their person's going to be, they don't need, we can play cross model, but I think Google's probably the next player. I'm sure AWS is going to do something, but they're not doing any good at telling me what it is. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. I won't count them out yet, but yeah.
Let's not go down that road. We're also going to bring up BlackBerry,
Meta.
Palm, and all that. After this presentation we're going to go through the play, if you get signed out into this link over here, you'll get a free account. Essentially, it's ChatGPT 4. So you don't have to pay the $20 today. I don't know when it's.
I think they're limiting it to 3.5 still.
Wait, hold on. And then afterwards, I'm going to show you where there's a website, and right now it's free, and you put your prompt, and it'll go to different models, including ChatGPT 4 against Gemini, against Linster, right? The one I mispronounced it, one in France, against Find 2, which is the one from Microsoft, against Llama 2, which is the quote open source, and I'm putting quotes because they're really open source, from Facebook and all that. With one prompt, you can see them all at the same time. So that's going to be a little bit later, but keep that in mind.
Yeah. That's good, cool. Yeah, go ahead. They tell us that they don't. Read the fine print. They tell us that they do not. Yeah, you know, you don't just click that button, right? You read all that stuff. Okay, well then the answer is there. There's two parts. So there's the base model that doesn't necessarily, like you get the model and consume the GPT-3.5 model and or 4, whatever you're using. And that model is kind of static until the next model comes out. But there's, you have retrieval augmented generation. You have the ability to add to the model. Hey, all these models have a certain amount of additional context. You can say, hey, in addition to the model you have, I want to put a bunch of business information in there too. And that, depending on how it's implemented, might be using user input to make it better. So you have to see how the AI is, not the model itself, the base model is probably, they're not going to change GPT-3.5 based on what I typed in, at least that's what they say. But if you're using a model in a business or you're using a chat bot and you're typing to it, they might have in their terms of service, hey, we're going to use what you give us to make it better. So you have to look at how that's being used. Yeah. Say again? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. So we have this whole nother frontier, and then there's the whole idea of copyright, and then the whole idea of who owns your identity and who owns all of the information pieces that come out of your identity. A whole nother conversation. Yes.
Somebody had a question. What was the URL for this thing? Yeah. AIworkshop.info. You'll be able to see that. I would suggest going in the workshop from step 1 to step 5, 6. Like you said, in step 6 is the slides David just presented.
Yeah. So everybody here that fills out this form, you're going to get a key, and you're getting an email, and you're going to then use that key to interact with this playground. So it looks like a GUID, and then it's like a slash, and then your email address. The whole thing, including your email address, on one line, goes into that field in the top right corner. So they have the event number, the event ID, and all that stuff. Right? Okay. So once you've done that, I want to see, is anybody already at this screen already logged in yet? Just curious. All right, you are my early adopters.
Getting to the first link, which has the key. Everybody got that key if they needed it?
So.
The link is AIworkshop.info. Look for the workshop, step number 1.
All right, so we'll walk you through. So you're going to go to AIworkshop.info. You're going to fill out this thing here where you're going to give them your email address and optionally sign up for the global AI newsletter. And they will email you a key. And it looks like a big GUID with a slash and then your email address at the end. And that whole thing is your key. You're then going to open up another tab, and you're going to go to this playground, and you're going to paste that into this field in the upper right corner, and you're going to click authorize. If it doesn't work when you do that, ask for help, and we'll look at it with you, and we can get you help. So, okay, yes. So you should have, ideally, you should have all brought your second screen. Who brought their second screen? Okay, you're going to have one screen with the playground. And then your workshop details. This is the instructions for how to do this workshop. Okay, which actually is interesting to me. They're using Docusaurus to build this, which is interesting. So there's a whole Git repository. You can go in and see everything. They're really cool about basically wide open kimono on the documentation and all these tools. There's a Git repository. You can go and look at the code behind all these things. So you're going to go through the workshop sections. You're going to go through the setup, which we just described already, getting your event key. And then once you've pasted it into that form, you're going to be able to explore the AI models. Okay, so we actually, they do have 3, 5, and 4. I remember just playing with this earlier, they didn't have both. And you'll be able to then go explore and start playing with these in the subsequent steps. All right. So it talks, and then, so as you're learning, you're going to get hands-on, and I kind of like teaching by just saying, just jump in and start playing with it, and then you're going to get questions, and then this stuff will make a lot more sense. So you can read about the different types of models. Besides GPT-4 or GPT-3.5, the only model you probably really need to care about, text embedding. So if you take your own data, like your own PDFs, your own documents, and you want to make it searchable by ChatGPT, you're going to be using this model, text embedding ADA 002, to do that encoding. And again, that's turning it into tokens, turning those tokens into numbers, and making it searchable by ChatGPT or the OpenAI model. And they're going to talk a little bit about the different models that are available. I'm just going to jump ahead. I don't want to read slides. I don't like to read that. I want you guys to get in here, start playing with it, and then to ask questions. And then, where do they get to the part where they actually give you stuff to do? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So when you get into here and you start going through the instructions, they'll give you, and you don't have to follow these, you can just do whatever you want, just play with this thing. But if you hover over the code blocks and click that copy button, you can just copy that here and paste it into the workshop. I'm going to see if I can actually, let me do this. I'm going to let me open this up over here. See if I can get this to, yeah. All right, so. And just raise your hand or ask for a question if you guys need help or anybody's stuck. If I lost you, there is absolutely 0% chance that you have a stupid question. I don't care if you're completely lost and you need me to start from the very beginning. I'll help you with any of this. My goal is to get you playing with this and get stuck, get into trouble, break stuff, and then ask for questions. That would be the ideal outcome for me. So let's get everybody signed up and help each other as well. And then workshop details is here. Oh, that's right. Okay, yes. So this we put a little more time into this. It's an hour-long workshop, so you guys can just finish your homework and go home. We're really hoping that there's some interest in sitting around talking about this stuff. We're specifically planning this global AI workshop event in March. So if that sounds like something that you would like to get involved with, you want to hear more about it, maybe you want to help with maybe doing some of the homework in advance of the big day, so you can help people. If you want to be involved, or you just want to hear how we figure this out, because we don't know what we're doing. We're just going to figure it out today. But we're going to try to plan an event with using the tools. Oh, actually, here, I'm typing this. You already gave this to me. We're using the tools and the services that Microsoft gives out. The best kind of marketing, in my opinion, the best kind of marketing for an IT company is education. When they put out stuff that helps people to learn, that's how they grow. That's how they grow their organization. And let's see, other resources. Future location of Global AI Bootcamp 2024. We want to talk about that. And there's some other resources in here too. I'm finding things that are useful to me. Put some John Saville videos up there. He's great at exploring this. But I'm really trying to, from my perspective, we just have this really cool community. We have these different groups around development and cloud, data, and we're in South Florida. People like to be here. And the fact that you guys are all here, again, just makes me very happy that you're all here. This, we could do something interesting with this. We have AI, and the more that we learn and help other people to learn this, the more useful we can be with this technology. I think the community is a great vector for that. So. Yeah. So we'll talk about that after. Yeah. In which context?
Classification is a data analytics concept, you know, so it's a way to analyze the data and all that. Maybe you can ask a question here.
So yeah, to get the context, like, you know, sometimes you write something so completely out of that, talk about this, talk about something else.
Right.
So classification, that's right. You don't figure out the classification. You figure out the context based on the classification.
Kind of, yeah.
While it sounds logical, think about it, generative AI is going to not classification.
Yeah.
So it's not a classification, it's a right figure. It's really more generative predictive. Right. So it's not, it's a lot more than that. So it can be reduced to so that's, but I'm only saying that to reject the classification concept. Prompt engineering,
You're writing a mass classification.
yeah, but the prompt engineering, what it's doing is it's saying, setting the context. So the context is like,